Nice. That was a good hit there. A little snook. Look at that, or a big trout. That's a nice trout. Really nice trout. There we go. That is a solid trout right there. Now let's talk about drifting these flats, and I want to give you some tips on how you can dial in that bite a little bit better so you can get some more fish in the boat quicker. So on a day like this, so we've got some bright blue skies, we've got a little bit of a breeze out there. I can see somewhere in the water, they're about 2 to 3 foot clarity, but it is stained, but I can see these potholes. And what I did was, first thing in the morning is I'm going to move in and out from the distance of the shoreline, and what I'm trying to do is kind of see where these fish are going to be at as far as distance. And one of the biggest clues when it comes to starting this is find the bait and where that bait is as far as the distance from the shore. Now, sometimes what will happen is you're going to find the fish that will be on the outside of that bait, they'll be in the middle of that bait, or they'll be on the inside of that bait. And it's a good idea to work it until you see where the fish are. Sometimes different species are in different areas. Sometimes the trout will be a little bit deeper and the snook and the redfish will be a little bit shallower. Sometimes they'll be all mixed up together, but it's a good idea to go ahead and cast and try to figure out where these fish are going to be, where they're staged at, and you can pinpoint the area, and that way you can eliminate a lot of ground. Now, another thing I like to do whenever I start getting these bites is I'm paying attention to where the strike happens, not necessarily the distance from the shoreline, but is it happening on a grass line on the edge? Are they happening in potholes, which is really common? Potholes are a good structure along these flats. And then what I'm doing is I'm paying attention to the types of potholes they are, because I have seen fish really gravitate towards smaller potholes and bigger potholes at times. So sometimes you'll get a lot of bites off the smaller ones. Sometimes all your bites will get off the bigger ones. But once you dial that in, again, you can eliminate that water. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to keep your lure in that strike zone the longest. And that's really the difference between a really successful angler and somebody that's struggling, is that person is able to keep that lure or their bait in the strike zone longer. And there's a lot that goes in with that. There's knowing where the fish are going to be. There's going to be casting abilities. There's a lot to do with it. But the biggest thing is eliminating negative water and looking for that positive water where the fish are going to be staged at, and paying attention to where these fish are biting and kind of dialing that in is a big part of being able to find and dial that bite in a lot better. Now, we talk about the 90-10 rule, and that's 90% of the feeding fish are in 10% of the water, and we get a lot of questions on how to find that 10%. And that's one of the ways that we do it. A lot of times you got to cover a lot of ground to figure out what that is, but once you start getting those bites, or you start to even scare those fish off, you're starting to dust those fish off, you can start seeing and paying attention to where those fish are and what direction they're running to, and that way it'll help you figure out where these fish are going to be so you can cast your lure bait at, and you're going to get more strikes that way. Now, again, with this, the emphasis is going to be finding the fish first. I'm not really worried about, changing my lures out or changing the colors out until I know there's fish in the area. And that's either by getting strikes or by seeing the fish physically. Until I do that, I'm really not worried about the actual lure itself. As long as I'm fishing with a lure that's in that depth range, I can work from there. But I'm not really too worried about those change-ups until we start seeing those fish. So next time you're out on the water, I want to make sure that you are actively paying attention to what's going on around you so you can dial that bite in. And the more you do this, the easier it's going to be able to change those tough days into a decent day, or change a decent day into a really, really good day. But paying attention on the water and doing those on-the-water observations is really key to having great days on the water. Now, if you like videos like this and you are interested in more free videos on how to catch fish like your trout, your redfish, your snook, and your flounder, we have a free online fishing school. That's right, it's absolutely free, no credit card needed. All we need is your email address to send you the link, and this is going to tell you from the beginning to the intermediate to the advanced anglers, no matter how long you've been fishing, on how to catch more fish. And why do we do this? Why are we giving away this information for free? Because we want to show you what Salt Strong is all about. It's a lot more than just finding the spots when it comes to successful inshore fishing. You need to know the pre-trip planning, the rigging, what to do when you get to the spot, how to approach that spot, and so much more. And that's what we do at Salt Strong. We teach you all of this information. So if you are struggling catching fish, or if you want to catch more fish in less time, definitely go through this school. You're going to learn something that you didn't know before. And what I'll do is I'll put a link down below so you can go right to it. As always, I really do appreciate you watching the video, and I hope to see you again in the near future. Have a great day. Bye.